Hi guys, Miss Bird here yet again, and in this video you're going to learn who were the first farmers. So first let's talk about a little bit of geography. You learned about nomads, and one of the best places for nomads to live was in an area called the Fertile Crescent. It's called a crescent because it was shaped sort of like a crescent moon. If you can see that green area and kind of imagine a crescent moon, they're sort of similar. And it was called fertile because it was between two rivers, the Tigris River and the Euphrates. You can see here on the map, the Tigris is the one on the top, the Euphrates is the one on the bottom. And so between these two rivers, there was lots of rich grass, wild barley, and wild wheat that grew in the damp soil of the riverbanks. Take a note. Today, the Fertile Crescent has the countries of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Cyprus, Jordan, Palestine, Kuwait, and the Sinai Peninsula. So it's a pretty big place. Pause and take a note. Well, in our first unit, we're really going to be talking about ancient Mesopotamia. And ancient Mesopotamia is within the Fertile Crescent. So the Fertile Crescent is that whole green part. Mesopotamia, you can see, is really just the area that is between the two rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates. This is now southern Iraq in present day. And the word Mesopotamia is Greek for the land between two rivers. Why? Well, because it's situated between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. Pause and take a note. So when nomads wandered through the Fertile Crescent, they saw herds of wild animals feeding on all the grass, lots of grain that could be harvested, and wide rivers where they could fish and get fresh water to drink. Because the Fertile Crescent was an easier place to find food than a lot of the surrounding area, nomads would return here again and again, every year, kind of with the seasons. Some of these nomads, after a while, began to live near the two rivers all year long, instead of wandering from place to place in search of food. But after a while of being there, just like nomads had for ages and ages, after being in one place for a while, they'd sort of foraged all the natural resources. They had, chased off the animals they were eating. So if they were living there for a while, they had the same problem of, after a while, they've kind of eaten most of the things that are there. So they had to improvise. They had to start planting things for themselves. So in Mesopotamia, we're becoming farmers. Pause and take a note. So those fields of grain that they were learning how to plant, they needed to figure out how to get water to them. So they started to build canals to bring the water from those rivers that were close by closer to their fields. One of the first farming machines or inventions is the shaduf, and this is a mechanism that these ancient nomads used to get water from the canals into their farmland. So here's what happened. They would balance a pole lengthwise on top of a pillar, tied a weight to one end of the pole, that's what we can see on this side, some large heavy rock, and then they would attach a leather bucket to the other side. That's what we have over here with some sort of rope or leather. Then they could dip this down into the water, swing it around, and empty it on this side. So it made getting water from the canal to their crops much easier. It wasn't as back-breaking work as going down there individually, one bucket at a time. Pause, take a note. Well, farmers, unlike nomads, if you have to be around kind of all year long to tend to your crop. You can't just wander off when you're tired of it and expect to come back in a few months and it be flourishing. No, crops need to be taken care of year-round. So the nomads stopped living in things like tents and caves that were portable. Instead, they started building homes and houses. They used, obviously, whatever materials were around. So farmers who lived near the river would build their houses out of reeds or out of bricks that were made from mud and left to dry in the sun. Pause, take a note. And soon, farmers figured out that it was best to build houses close together so that they could help each other in terms of watering the fields and tending to the fields. And those became the first villages, which we will talk about more next time. So there you have it. Now you can answer the question of who were the first farmers. See you next time.